Hi guys, today we are receiving Merunas, an entrepreneur and developer in the blockchain space. He has built many projects and he has a lot of stories to tell us. So I'm super excited to having on the show. Welcome, Merunas.
It's nice being here, Julian. I love your channel and I love your content. So yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
Thank you. So Merunas, can you briefly introduce yourself for the audience?
Yeah. So most of what I learn, of what I know right now, has been self-taught. I started learning about web development for about 6 years ago, and then I slowly got introduced into blockchain, smart contract development, and I've been doing that since. I've worked for several companies, one of them called Pali, Leverage, The Ocean. I wrote a few books in Solidity about programming smart contracts. And I started a company called Yeld Finance, and it's been a very interesting journey so far.
Wow. All of this in just a few short years. Wow, you've been really productive. One question that I like to ask every guest is, what was the thing that make you take the red pill and go in blockchain? What was the event that make you feel passionate?
I've been seeing people talk about blockchain, and the one thing that really got into me was the fact that it's like an alternative to banking, where most of the things we do with banks can be done in the blockchain without having all these middlemen, all these fees, all this centralized control. And I think that's so positive because all this transparency, all the opportunities that it provides for people is just amazing. There are places in the world where you cannot have a bank, or the currency is so undervalued you cannot really use it. So it's a very interesting thing that got me into it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think many people don't realize it, especially if you live in a first world country and you never started any company. You just go to your bank. You think that's easy, but actually, for people in other country, or if you're an entrepreneur, and things can get more complicated pretty fast. So you've done all these projects, so I think it'd be interesting to talk about them. So first, you said that you wrote a book. So can you tell us more about that?
In fact, it is two books. The first one is called Learn Solidity from Scratch. Yeah, Ethereum developer Learn Solidity from Scratch. I wrote that about 2 years ago, or three years ago, and I wrote that to teach people like an introduction to smart contract development, to get them up to speed and to learn the Solidity language so they can create projects and work for companies. And then a year after, I wrote another book called Ethereum. Mastering Ethereum. It's called Mastering Ethereum, and that one is more like a Bible. Is so huge. It's like 400 pages. It's a big one, where it talks about Solidity, blockchain, everything about Ethereum. So it's a very interesting book for those that want to advance their level in Solidity and blockchain development.
Mastering Ethereum. Are you talking of the one with Andreas Antonopoulos?
Yeah, that's a different book. We had to use the same name because the company wanted to use, but it's a different book. It's called Mastering Ethereum, but it's a different book.
Okay. Well, I thought you made a collaboration with him. Yeah, but that's cool. So wow, that must have took you so much time, like 400 pages. Like, how long have you worked on that?
Yeah. It was a year working nonstop, editing pages and things like that. But I think it's worth it,
Yeah, for sure. Because when you want to teach something, you actually realize that maybe you don't know something as much as what you thought. So you need to stop and research more. And then you can explain it to other. But that's a very challenging exercise, but also a very rewarding. So you've done this, so you've done these books, and then you went on to work on the project. So I don't know. There are a couple of one we can talk about: Leverage Finance, Pali, Ocean. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Pali. So this is the first one I worked for, and it was 6 months after starting to learn blockchain. I got into this opportunity, and we created like a social platform for people to travel. The people that like to travel, like a social platform for them, and it was fully decentralized. They did an ICO and they did well. So after that, I moved on and worked for several other companies, a decentralized exchange called Leverage, another decentralized exchange called The Ocean, and those were more. There were startups, but they were very intensive in the way they worked. So they had strict deadlines. They had very ambitious goals. So they worked a lot, many hours a week, and it was very, very good because I learned a lot from them.
Yeah, and especially so if you were the smart contract specialist, so probably they didn't have a lot of smart contract guys in their team. So that means they probably ask you a lot of stuff because they themselves they didn't have the skill really, right?
Yeah, well, the co-founder in one company in Leverage, he did know a lot about Solidity, but the others they weren't really familiar with Solidity, so it was very challenging to teach people how this works. So why is this not possible? Because as you know, Solidity smart contracts are very limited in things that you cannot really have endless loops and things like that. So it was very a learning experience for everybody.
Yeah, and also in terms of security, you had a lot of responsibility because that's an exchange. So if you make a mistake in your Solidity code, then many people can lose money. So
Right.
what did you learn security wise for smart contract?
I've done several audits also for companies, and most of what I know have been from reading other people's audits. So see how they do it, learn about the different vulnerabilities. So it's a constant project, a constant process where I start to see what are the issues that could happen in a smart contract, and then try to find them in a different contract. So it's like practicing and understanding where they come from.
Okay, that's super interesting because I had received a lot of requests of people who asked me to do a course on smart contract security and especially how to perform an audit. And it's true that there is no real resources to learn this. So you mentioned that the way you did it was very simple. You just took some audits that already existed and you try to do the same. So what kind of section you find in many audits, and are there like some famous audits that really stand out to learn?
Well, I don't know specific audits, but I know many from Open Zeppelin. You know, they have these great libraries for Solidity. And I simply took a look at them, and they have like a section for the vulnerabilities they find. And they once, and I take a look at that and I try to replicate that, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day, is just what are the issues with this contract and what can be done better. Then I really enjoyed the fact that some audits include like a line by line analysis. They analyze the code from every single line, and they talk about what's great and what's bad from an expert perspective.
And in terms of tools, did you use any tool to do some systematic analysis, or it was just you reading the code?
Not really. I didn't really get into it. I should take a look at that, but it's more like a professional view on the code.
Yeah.
I know
Okay. Well, that's
companies like Solidity Finance, they do use many tools and it's great, but it's just a different approach.
yeah. That's interesting. And also in terms of deployment of smart contract, um, is there a sort of safe approach instead of just deploying to mainnet? Is there like different stage we can go through before we can declare the contract safe?
Yeah, well, I used Truffle in the past, but now I'm using Hardhat. It's a very improved, very much useful library, and I really like how it can let you deploy to different blockchains, testnet your own development blockchain to Ropsten. And what I do is basically deploy to a development blockchain, then a testnet, then to mainnet, and progressively try to see if there are any issues. I also use Remix, the IDE, and it's very useful.
And when you when you deploy to a local development blockchain, how do you do to mock the dependencies that aren't deployed on your local blockchain?
Well, in the past, it was a very big issue because with Truffle, you cannot do many things like that. But with Hardhat, I found that you can take like a snapshot of the blockchain, like the mainnet one, and all the data that's in that blockchain, it will be available to you in your development one. So you can just simply use what's available without having to deploy anything, just like if it has been in your blockchain. So for example, if you have to use Uniswap or any other libraries, you can just take a snapshot from that and use it for your application.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. I think in Truffle, actually, it's not in Truffle, it's in Ganache. They do have these features. It's called mainnet forking.
Yeah.
But I've tried it before and I find it very flaky. But if you've worked with hot and it works well, then it's pretty good to know. So yeah, I want to try that because it really is one of the main pain points in blockchain
Yeah,
when you
trust me,
develop.
I have many issues with that, but hard hat really was the difference, because I didn't really want to modify my workflow to this new tool, but at the end I had to do it, and I just can't look back to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Well, maybe I should start to do more tutorial on hot hat on my channel because I'm just used to truffle, so for me it's easier. But I see way more people who ask me about hot hat, so yeah, maybe I should make it a part of my toolbox. So that was for smart contract security. So you work on leverage finance, Pali, Ocean. And so first of all, after having worked on these three projects, was there any big change in your approach of as a blockchain developer?
Yeah, well, before working for these companies, I did just had a list of things that I wanted to get done, and I started to work on them. But then after working for these companies, I realized that I had to document the code, make sure everybody understands what's going on, and basically work with the team so that when they see the code or when they interact with it, they understand what's going on. So it's very important that they are on the same page, everybody. Like commit messages and all that stuff, it's very important, and it's for a big company like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of junior developer kind of overemphasis the coding, but don't see everything that is around it. And I think it's one of the big difference between a junior and a senior developer. It's not just the coding ability, but it's also how we can work in a team, what kind of process we have to follow, the tools, etc. And if you can communicate to potential employers that you're familiar with all these things, you're going to come across as somebody more mature, more potentially more productive, and probably you get more offers and with a higher salary. That's very, very important.
Right. The more you know, the more tools you use, the better.
Yeah, for sure. And so you've worked on these three projects, and after you decided to launch your own project, Yeld Finance.
Yeah, Yeld Finance. It's been a while since I wanted to start my own project. I did a few others, but they didn't really go that well. So this one actually was a surprise because I started it, and in a day or so, it was completely founded. I did like an ICO and reached the goal in hours, and it was surprising. And then I worked on it nonstop, developing, improving the code, and all these different things. And it's been a very good experience. It's like we started as a staking application where people can put funds and earn money based on yarn, yarn. And then it evolved into like an improved version of a lending application where people can stake funds and earn fees from lending, from borrowing fees from others. And we created like an innovative thing, which is the crypto score. It's like a credit score, but for crypto, where people can use it to borrow funds without any collateral. And it's been very interesting.
Wow. Okay, so there is a lot to talk about here. So first of all, you working on this alone, or you have a team?
I started it alone. Some people helped me along the way, but at the end it was just me because they are not real developers. I hired some people, but they work temporary, so it's mainly myself.
Yeah. So first of all, that really show you the power of knowing blockchain development. You can do pretty much everything by yourself. Maybe you have to learn a few things about marketing, but for the most important, the coding, you can do it by yourself. Just one person can do the whole project. For example, Uniswap, I think there are like maybe 10, 20 people. And in terms of trading volume, I think they are doing as much or if not more than Coinbase, who just went public with like a team of, I don't know, I think they're like more than 1,000 people. So yeah, really show you how super productive you can be once you have these skills. And so you mentioned you've done an ICO at the beginning of this project. So doing an ICO for blockchain developer, this is both attractive because you can get funding, but at the same time, it's also really scary because there are all this legal stuff. So how did you navigate all of this?
Yeah, so well, I saw ICOs that were similar to my project, and I just tried to see if it would work, and people recognized my experience, the books that I wrote, and they, in a few hours, they just completed the goal. It was 750 ether at the time, so it was a lot of money, and I was surprised because I didn't really expect that much interest from people. But it started as a Discord channel, a Discord group. I started inviting people, then those people started inviting more people, and it started growing, like thousands of users. And yeah, it was, I reached the goal. And then when it comes to legal stuff, well, I've been talking with several lawyers and seeing how the regulation works here in Spain. And at the end, it's just the interpretation of the law, and you cannot really be as certain that it's secure or not. So it's just you do your project as best as you can by asking the lawyers what can be done and what cannot be done, and then expect that nothing wrong goes with the project, you know. But ideally, if I were to do this again, I will start a company, a registered company, to some place where it's more secure to do ICOs that are recognized, like Singapore or any place like that, and then do the founding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually registering a company myself for EatTheBlocks in Singapore, and they have some laws for crypto. I know that also another blockchain company I used to work for, they're incorporated in Malta, which has a crypto framework. Yeah, Binance also is in Malta. And for your ICO, did you use any platform that helps you with the KYC, or you just built everything from scratch?
Yeah, I used a platform called Bounce Finance. It was very popular before. I don't know if it's used right now in projects, but it's just a place where people can send ether and receive the token back. There's no know your customer or anything like that, but it works. Basically, it works.
Okay, so so you didn't want to ban American, for example. It was open to everybody.
No, in this case, I mean, it's recommended, but it's optional because the law in Spain here is a bit different from other places, so it's not really that much of an issue.
Okay. So interesting to know that in Spain you felt more comfortable doing this, and so yeah, it's amazing you were so successful with your ICO, and so now you get funding for some time. So going forward, do you plan to hire people? Maybe you have like some full-time members, developers, marketers. What's the plan for the future?
Yeah, we tried to do that before, but the problem right now is that the application that we have is not really that profitable. So we need more people to start using it so that we get some of those transaction fees for development. And at the end is once the application grows to say 10,000 users or so on, or something like that, we can start hiring people full time and so that they can work on application. But I tried that before, but they were temporary workers, not really full time.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm in the same situation. I'm hesitating between hiring people part time and full time, but I do think if you can commit for one person full time, I do think you can get more out of it for your business. But it's true that you have to commit to someone, and you have to give him or her some responsibility. But yeah. So for people who are interested in yield finance, I will put the links in the description, and you can check it out. It's basically a yield aggregator on Ethereum, right?
Right. Yes, it's a yield aggregator, but we have a new application which is a lending application. So there's these two things. For one is for Ethereum, and the other one is for Binance Smart Chain.
Okay, yeah, because of the fees. And how do you make it work when you have two different deployments? Because you have to do some bridge, or it's just two independent deployments?
Right now they're independent, but we will create a bridge for the token, the yield token, because people want to use it. But it's a process that takes some time because it's not that easy to create a bridge. You know.
So you're gonna create it from scratch? You're gonna use something that already exists?
I'm looking at the different options, and we try to see if we can use something that exists out there and just simply bridge it to the new blockchain.
Yeah. But actually, I've done a video on a bridge between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain a few weeks ago. But after I published the video, there's some people in the comments that told me that actually there was a huge security vulnerability in what I did. So that was a bit embarrassing, but you know, it's also an advantage when you work in public. You know, you can get some feedback for free. And when you're wrong, well, you just gotta accept it.
Yeah, just gotta
and
try and see what people say about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Merunas. That was super interesting to learn about your story and your journey in the blockchain space. In just a few years, you've done so many projects, and now you are working full-time on your own project, Yeld Finance. I hope can be very inspiring for a lot of developers and builders in the crypto space. Thank you, Merunas, and good luck with Yeld Finance.
Thank you too. Thank you to you too, and I love your videos, man. The things that you do are so interesting when it comes to blockchain, you know.
Thanks, Merunas. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.